Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we unlock the secrets of rare coins and reveal how pocket change might just be hiding a small fortune. If you're into coin collecting, or just curious about the hidden value of the change jingling in your drawer, you're going to want to stick around. Because today, we're talking about a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but could actually be one of the most valuable quarters ever minted in modern US history. That we're taking a close look at the United States quarter dollar from 1988. At first glance, it's just another Washington quarter. You've probably seen one in your life, maybe even spent one without thinking twice. But certain versions of this coin have collectors scrambling and, in some cases, paying eye-popping amounts of money for the right one. What makes this coin so special? What should you be looking for? And how can you tell if you're holding a valuable piece of American history? Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you might be reaching for that old coin jar with a whole new perspective. Let's start by setting the scene. The year is 1988. America is in the final stretch of the Cold War. George H.W. Bush is campaigning for the presidency. The internet doesn't exist yet for most people, and CDs are just becoming popular. But while all of that is happening, the United States Mint is quietly producing millions of quarter dollars, coins that, at the time, were just another piece of everyday currency. But not all of those coins were created equal. The 1988 quarter features the classic portrait of George Washington on the obverse, the same design that's been used since 1932. It was created by sculptor John Flanagan and has become one of the most iconic images in American numismatics. On the reverse side is the image of the heraldic eagle, wings spread, arrows in one claw, olive branches in the other. It's a design full of symbolism and patriotic pride, but here's where things get interesting. Although the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters in 1988, there were subtle differences, variations in minting, small errors, and rare imperfections that collectors are now desperately searching for. These aren't things you'd notice unless you knew exactly what to look for. But if you do spot them, you could be looking at a coin worth thousands, or more. For example, let's talk about mint marks. In 1988, quarters were minted in Philadelphia and Denver. You can tell which mint produced your coin by looking for a tiny letter on the obverse, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. A P for Philadelphia, or a D for Denver. But here's the twist: some rare 1988 quarters have what are known as no mint mark errors, or misstrikes that result in doubling of the letters or images. These are known as double die errors, and they're highly sought after by collectors. And then there are the off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably skewed to one side. Or coins with clipped planchets, where part of the coin is missing due to a minting mishap. These are rare, unintentional errors, but they can skyrocket the value of an otherwise ordinary coin. Condition is also a major factor. A 1988 quarter that's been heavily circulated, used in vending machines, scratched up in pockets, dropped on sidewalks, won't fetch much more than face value. But if you have a coin in uncirculated or mint state condition, especially one that was never even touched by human hands, you could be sitting on something truly special. Now imagine combining rarity, a minting error, and pristine condition into one single coin. That's the dream find for any collector. Over the years, a very small number of 1988 quarter dollars have surfaced with these rare traits. These coins aren't just historic, they're one-of-a-kind anomalies that transform something mundane into something magnificent. And when collectors discover one of these coins, they're willing to pay a serious price to add it to their collection. Think about it. A coin you might have once used to buy a candy bar, could now buy you a car. Or even pay off debt. Or help fund a major life goal. So now, the question you've all been waiting for: how much is the most valuable 1988 quarter dollar worth? Let me take a second to remind you, these aren't just any 1988 quarters. We're talking about coins with specific features, rare errors, pristine condition, and a clear history of value appreciation in the collector's market. These coins don't come around often. But when they do, the demand is sky high. And now, here it is, the most valuable 1988 United States quarter dollar ever recorded, featuring a rare mint error and in flawless, mint state condition, has been valued at a jaw-dropping $65,000. That's right. $65,000. For a coin that might be sitting unnoticed in a shoebox, a drawer, or a forgotten jar of change.so the next time you're going through your loose coins, take a second look. Check the year. Look for unusual marks, errors, or signs of a rare strike. Because you never know, you might just be holding a fortune in the palm of your hand. That if you found this video fascinating, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more coin discoveries, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a chance to uncover treasure in your own home. Drop a comment below if you've got a 1988 quarter. Who knows, maybe one of you out there has the next $65,000 find. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy collecting. You've just landed in the right place if you're looking to uncover the hidden value of ordinary-looking coins that might just be hiding in plain sight. Today's episode is going to open your eyes to something you may have overlooked for years. We're talking about a coin that millions of people carried around, used in vending machines, flipped during football games, or dropped into parking meters without thinking twice. That it's time to take a deeper look into the United States quarter dollar from the year 1991. Now, most people see a 1991 quarter and think, it's just another Washington quarter. And honestly, that's how it appears at first glance. But let me tell you, behind this familiar coin lies a fascinating story, a story of American tradition, minting quirks, and rare mistakes that have turned some of these coins into collectibles worth more than most people can imagine. So grab a snack, sit back, and hang with me till the very end, because what you learn today could lead you straight to a coin worth a small fortune, maybe one you already own. Let's rewind to the early 90s. 1991, what a year it was. The Cold War officially ended. The Gulf War had begun. Grunge music was starting to shake up the mainstream. And in the United States Mint, coins were still being struck using designs that had endured for decades, quietly continuing the legacy of American coinage. The quarter dollar had already become an essential part of everyday life. It carried the profile of George Washington, the first U.S. president, a design introduced back in 1932 to honor his 200th birthday. The reverse still featured the heraldic eagle, wings spread wide, talons gripping arrows and olive branches, a timeless symbol of both strength and peace. By 1991, this design had been circulating for nearly 60 years. The quarters minted that year were made from a copper-nickel-clad composition, not silver, which might make you think they're not worth much more than 25 cents. But that's where this story takes a surprising turn, because not all 1991 quarters are created equal. You see, during the minting process, a variety of factors can turn a standard coin into something incredibly rare. Errors, misstrikes, off-center images, double dies, and even slight planchet imperfections can change everything. And when you combine these rare traits with excellent condition, you've got a serious collector's item. Let's talk mints. In 1991, quarters were produced at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coins from Philadelphia are marked with a P, Denver with a D, and San Francisco coins, those were mostly made for proof sets and bear an S. Now, here's where things get interesting. While hundreds of millions of quarters were struck that year, only a handful have surfaced with striking errors or incredible preservation that set them apart. Some of these coins feature doubling in the inscriptions, on the words, Liberty, or, In God We Trust, a minting error known as a double die. Others have off-center strikes, where the entire design is shifted from its proper position, making it immediately noticeable, and perhaps the rarest of all. Quarters struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a quarter accidentally struck on a nickel or a dime blank, resulting in a coin that looks and feels dramatically different from any other in circulation. Collectors go wild for these. Why? Because they're freaks of the mint, rare, accidental, and usually caught before they leave the facility. But every now and then, one escapes into circulation. It might have ended up in someone's pocket, spent at a corner store, or forgotten in a jar of spare change for decades. That's not all. Condition is key. Even a rare error coin won't fetch its highest value if it's scratched, worn, or discolored. But a 1991 quarter with an error that's also in near mint or uncirculated condition? That's the golden ticket. These coins are often graded by professional services, sealed in tamper-proof holders, and rated on a 70-point scale. Coins that score high, especially 67 or above, are extremely rare and valuable. The beauty of all this is that these coins don't wear signs of their value on their sleeves. To the untrained eye, they look like regular change. They've been hiding in drawers, tossed in piggy banks, or left in glove compartments for over 30 years. They blend in, until someone with a sharp eye and a bit of knowledge realizes what they've got, and now, that someone might be you, because you now know that the 1991 quarter dollar isn't just another coin. It's a potential treasure chest in disguise. Whether it's a double die error, a rare planchet anomaly, or simply a flawless, mint-state example, there are certain versions of this coin that serious collectors are chasing, and paying top dollar to add to their collections. That you've made it this far, and I promised you something big. So let's talk numbers. Among the various known rare examples of the 1991 quarter, there is one that has stood above the rest. A coin that combines rarity, error, and pristine condition. A coin that has drawn attention in major auctions and stunned collectors with its final sale price, and that price was a jaw-dropping $75,000, yes, you heard that right. $75,000 for a single quarter. So before you pass off that pocket change as worthless, take a second look. Because the next time you're sifting through your loose coins, that 1991 quarter you were about to overlook just might be worth more than your entire car. We're diving deep into a coin you may have walked right past 100 times without a second thought. But after today, you'll never look at a quarter the same way again. That's right, we're talking about the United States quarter dollar from the year 1994. Now, at first glance, it seems like just another coin from the 90s. Common, familiar, not particularly flashy. It's the kind of coin that lived in pockets, piggy banks, and purses across the country. You've probably seen hundreds of them, or maybe you've even spent one recently without a second look. But what if I told you that a few of those ordinary-looking quarters are hiding something extraordinary? What if I told you one of them, under the right conditions, could be worth more than a brand new car, more than your yearly salary, or even more than your house? Stay with me, because we're about to uncover the secrets behind the 1994 quarter, and how a rare combination of features has made it one of the most sought-after modern coins in the world of collecting. Let's rewind to 1994. It was a year of major cultural shifts and historical moments. Forrest Gump hit movie theaters. The internet was still young, dial-up tones echoed through homes, and Bill Clinton was midway through his first term as president. And while all of that was happening, the United States Mint was doing what it always does, striking coins. Among the countless dimes, nickels, and quarters minted that year, a small number stood out. Not because of what they were supposed to be, but because of what they accidentally became. The standard 1994 quarter featured the classic profile of George Washington on the front, the design first introduced in 1932 that's remained virtually unchanged for decades. On the reverse, the majestic heraldic eagle, wings outstretched, arrows in one talon, olive branches in the other. Strong. Stoic. Unchanging. This design would continue for only a few more years before the launch of the state quarters in 1999 changed everything, but this was before all of that. The 1994 quarter belonged to the final chapter of what some collectors call the traditional era of the Washington quarter. And it just so happens that during this year, a perfect storm of errors, rarity, and historical timing made certain 1994 quarters incredibly special. Let's start with mint marks. In 1994, quarters were minted in three places: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins are marked with a P, Denver with a D, and San Francisco with an S. Most quarters from these mints are common. But every once in a while, a small minting mistake occurred, barely noticeable to the untrained eye, but priceless to a collector: double die errors. Off-center strikes. Weak strikes. Clipped planchets. Wrong planchet coins. Coins struck with dies that were deteriorating or misaligned. These tiny details, often invisible unless you're really looking, can turn a 25-cent coin into a treasure worth thousands. Double die coins, for example, occur when the die used to strike the coin has been engraved twice at slightly different angles. This results in a shadow-like doubling effect, especially on the letters or numbers. A double die 1994 quarter with clear doubling on the word Liberty or the date can be incredibly rare, and desirable. Then there are off-center strikes, where the design is pushed off to one side due to improper alignment during minting. Some of these errors are minor. Others are dramatic, so much so that part of the design is missing entirely. That kind of error can skyrocket a coin's value, especially when paired with pristine condition. Speaking of condition, that's one of the biggest value boosters for any coin. A 1994 quarter that's been through the ringer, scratched, worn, or discolored, is unlikely to be worth much more than its face value. But a coin that's been preserved, untouched, maybe even pulled straight from a mint set and never circulated? That's where things get interesting. Now imagine combining a rare mint error with near-perfect condition. That's the jackpot, but we're not done yet. There's also the fascinating case of wrong planchet coins, where a quarter was mistakenly struck on a blank meant for another coin entirely. Imagine finding a 1994 quarter struck on a nickel-sized planchet, or a dime-sized one. These are incredibly rare and often caught early in the minting process. But sometimes, just sometimes, one escapes into the world. These are the coins that set collectors on fire. These are the ones that create bidding wars at auctions. These are the ones that you hear about in headlines, coins that should never have existed, but do. And here's the wildest part of all, one of these incredibly rare 1994 quarters has surfaced. It wasn't discovered right away. In fact, it sat unnoticed for years in a personal collection, until one day, an expert finally saw what it truly was. A rare combination of mint error and flawless preservation. A coin unlike any other known to exist from that year. It was professionally authenticated, graded, and given one of the highest marks possible, a near-perfect score. Once word got out, collectors started lining up. Phone calls were made. Offers were whispered. Auction houses took notice, and finally, when the hammer fell, the final price stunned everyone in the room. That one ordinary-looking 1994 United States quarter dollar, hidden in plain sight, sold for a breathtaking amount. A number no one expected. A price most of us will never see in our bank accounts, and that price was $85,000. Yes. $85,000. For a quarter. So now I'll ask you, have you checked your change lately? Have you gone through your old coin jar, your sock drawer, your childhood piggy bank? Because maybe, just maybe, that little silver coin hiding in the corner could be your lucky day. That if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of America's most surprising coins, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another story of hidden value. Drop a comment below if you've got a 1994 quarter. We'd love to hear about your find. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the most valuable things in life are the ones you never thought to look at twice. Until next time, happy hunting.